and welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the Behringer Overdrive Distortion OD300 pedal. It is a copy of the Boss pedal of the same name, the Boss Overdrive Distortion OS-2, which retails in at about $100 or about £75 here in the UK. What makes the Overdrive Distortion by Behringer interesting is that it is a lot cheaper. I bought this for £21 on Amazon. It's about $19 on Amazon in the US, so that is actually really good value for this pedal. But why is it so cheap, and does it warrant taking money from your wallet? Let's find out. So if you saw my video review on the Behringer TO800, which is their Tube Screamer clone, you might remember that I was saying that the build quality isn't that great. Now the main reason is because this pedal, which has the same build quality, is also made out of plastic. So it's clearly based on the Boss design. I have a Boss pedal here for comparison. The design is been taken from Boss. They both have the battery compartment underneath this kind of tread plate here. The Boss one has a little grub screw that you can unscrew to open the battery compartment. This one has these little kind of buttons on each side that you need to press with a pen, and what ends up happening is that this whole plate comes off. It's a bit finicky, so you end up having your pedal turn into two pieces, which isn't great if you're live on stage and you need to change your battery in a pinch. Anyway, so there is a battery compartment which you can get into, which is a bit of a faff, but if you don't want to use batteries, you can use the 9-volt power supply. So most pedals with the jack sockets, they have these, you can see they have these nuts which screw into place, which hold the socket into place. The Behringer pedal doesn't have those. So I'm not sure what would happen if this pedal was to break. Would I have to buy a new one, or can I fix it? But let's talk about the sound quality. I'm sure that's what you really want to know. So like on the Boss Overdrive Distortion, the Behringer equivalent has the same controls. So we have a level control, tone control, drive and mode. I think it's called something different on the Boss one, but it does the same thing. So the mode is the interesting control here. So what it does, this pedal switches between an overdrive sound and a distortion sound. And in case you don't know, overdrive is kind of more, generally speaking, it's a lighter distortion, it's a lighter drive, and distortion is like a heavier drive. So if you were looking to get an overdrive pedal and a distortion pedal at some point, this might be worth looking into, because it does both. So this mode knob here goes between overdrive and distortion. And what's cool about this pedal is that it can blend between the two, so you can get the drive sounds in between, or the tonalities between overdrive and distortion. I found having the mode knob in either extreme didn't sound that great, but luckily you can blend, so you can kind of blend out of the extreme sounds and kind of find something that suits your needs a bit better. The mode knob is essentially a glorified mid control. So towards the overdrive side, there's a bit more mids, and as you go towards the distortion side, it kind of scoops the mids a bit more. And I think it might even add a bit of compression as well. Or maybe you can be the judge when you hear it for yourself. The other benefit of having this blending in the mode knob is that you can tailor it to the type of guitar or amp you're using. So if your guitar is quite bright and you want to have like a more of a rock sound, so you want more distortion, you can blend in more of the overdrive, and it does kind of tame the brightness a bit. Obviously you can use your tone control as well to do that, but having the blend knob on the blend mode knob really does make a difference. Alternatively, if you have a quite a dark sounding guitar and you're going for that overdrive sound, you can turn it more towards distortion and it will make your guitar less muddy. Obviously use the tone control in conjunction with that as well. So one thing I like to do with overdrive pedals is to get a clean sound. Now that might sound a bit strange, but what I like to do, and what a lot of other guitarists like to do, is to have just a tad of gain, a tad of drive on their clean sound, to the point where it's on the edge of breakup, where if you dig in it kind of starts to crunch a little bit, but if you don't dig in it kind of still sounds clean, but it also adds a certain warmth to the sound as well. So, does the Behringer do this? Yes. And yes, you'll notice my face screw up a little bit there. So what I like to do for this is I'll have my mode turned towards the distortion, to the overdrive side, maybe about 9 o'clock or so. And the drive I tend to have all the way down, or maybe even just maybe bring it in a little bit depending on your guitar. So the guitar I used was my Strat, my Exotic XSC2, so my Strat type guitar. And the pickups are reasonably low powered on that. They're not particularly hot, so I can get away with having a cleaner sound. So for those clean sounds, it's all right. It's pretty good. It still sounds a little bit hairy, but also a little bit thin as well. But maybe if you're using humbuckers, you might get a better sound. So for that kind of low gain sound, that low gain overdrive sound, I still prefer a clon style pedal, something like Tumnus Deluxe by Wampler. Does cost a lot more though, doesn't cost 20 quid, costs a bit more than that. What about the breakup sounds on this? So if we start to turn the gain up, the drive up a little bit, it does start to sound nicer now. So the low gain sounds on this, you know, in terms of overdrive, are starting to sound pretty good when you turn the drive up. Right, let's get into the rock territories. How are we doing for rock? So, yes, I like this for rock and crunch sounds. So I like to start to turn this up to maybe about 2 o'clock. Obviously, if you have it all the way up to, if you have it all the way to distortion, it starts to sound really fizzy and fuzzy as well. And fuzzy, not in a good way. I mean, you might as well just get a fuzz pedal for that. So I'll back this off to about 3 o'clock or a bit less. I'm usually maybe about 2 o'clock. Between 12 and 2 o'clock I find is quite good. And then adjust everything else to taste. But the rock sounds are pretty good. Check them out. Alright, let's get heavier. How about metal tones? Modern metal, not so much. I wouldn't use this for modern metal sounds. Old school metal, yeah, I think you can get away with it with this pedal. Speaking of metal, I wanted to put a tube screamer in front of this to see if you can do that tube scream thing. So I thought, we're doing Behringer, let's use this. This works well for when I plugged it into my high gain amp. So will it work well in conjunction with its little brother, sister? So the trick in metal is you put a tube screamer in front of a high gain amp. I think it works with pedals as well. And you turn the level all the way up, the drive all the way down, and adjust the tone to taste. So having that in front of this, did I get that sound? Yes, but it just wasn't as pronounced. So I could hear that it was doing what it was doing. So kudos to this pedal, to the tube screamer. Into this, yes, it did do its thing, but it just wasn't as pronounced as when I plugged into my Victory amp on the high gain channel. So would you want to do that? Yeah, I guess you could still do that. Bear in mind that both of these are about £20 or $20. So for both of them, it's about £40 or $40, which is still cheaper than the pedals that they're based on. I also found that tone a little bit thin, but I think that's because of the OD300 more than this one. So when you do put these two together, there is a little bit of noise, so check this out. And because there's so much gain going on, there's bound to be a bit of noise. You won't hear it when you're playing though, so that's a good thing. You're not going to hear the noise when you're playing. When you stop playing, you'll hear it. But if you turn your volume down on your guitar once you finish playing, then noise will go away. So the noise is completely normal. That's what happens when you stack pedals together like that. All right, let's try a different guitar. So for diversity and to be a bit more complete, I plugged in my Epiphone 339 to see if we can get some nice tones out of the Behringer OD300. So I did find the OD300 a little bit on the thin side, so using humbuckers was a good call. It definitely thickened the sound a bit. That was the humbuckers doing that. For the low gain stuff, I did find that this pedal did still sound a bit more on the rock side, like when I'm playing on the overdrive, when I'm switching to the overdrive part of this pedal. That could be my playing. I mean, rock is kind of like the music of my people, as Carver Hine used to say. And maybe it's just my playing that's making it sound more rock as opposed to the tonality of this pedal. So once we turn the gain up and turn up towards distortion, let's check those sounds out with some good old rock. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. That was my review of the Behringer Overdrive Distortion OD300. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from it. Affiliate links are down below if you're interested in picking one up. I'd also be interested if you'd like me to test this against other Boss pedals. I don't have the Boss Overdrive Distortion pedal, but I do have the DS1, which I've done a review on, so check that out, card up above. The Adaptive Distortion, which I actually think is it's been discontinued now, and I have this Hyper Metal pedal, so I don't know if that's a Metal Zone wannabe. But if you'd be interested in seeing a comparison between those pedals, then let me know in the comments below. Apart from that, I'm trying to aim for my first milestone of 1,000 subscribers, so I would very much appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe and help me get to 1,000 subscribers so I can monetize my channel. So please do that. That'll help a struggling musician out in these trying pandemic times. Also find me on social media to come and say hello and make friends. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Profunctionist, and also on Twitter as Profunctionista. There's also a website, profunctionist.com, where I usually have an article to these reviews and lessons where I will add things that I might have missed in the video review or the video lesson. So check that out as well. And apart from that, I hope you are well, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.